Thursday, November the 10th, 2023, and I'm out on a local walk today, Ashwell and Morden, about to undertake a North Herts Ramblers walk, Steeple Morden, but I'm starting here from Ashwell and Morden station, so it adds about a mile onto the walk, I should think, which is officially 10 mile. So 10 and a half, 11 miles expected today. I'm a bit earlier than usual because it's local. 11 o'clock just gone. There's a tube strike in London, so I stayed local for that reason mainly. And also it's a bit of a grey day throughout the southeast today, with a fair amount of wind. So once again, the gusts could interfere with commentary because I'm in a fairly flat area. Around 249 feet at the highest point. It's also quite exposed with large fields. Wind is, as I say, pretty stiff today, up to 30 miles an hour later, and coming from the southwest, so it's quite mild, around 12-13 at the moment. So this is, as I say, North Herts Ramblers group walk 364. So let's get cracking, see what awaits. Station here at Ashwell is almost non-existent. It's now a residential property. No sign of humanity at all. Walking past a scrapyard on my right, and once again see the use of old railway sleepers, as we did down in Wiltshire last week. Those drought conditions of a few months back seem a distant memory now. Thankfully the reservoirs are slowly filling up again. Still walking alongside the railway, but branching off here. You have an option to go left-ish here, past that barrier, or, as I'm going to do, past the Steeple Morden plant sign next to the railway, continue straight ahead. They both get you to the same point eventually, though this version is a bit more hazardous. So after walking alongside hedges here and the railway line, we eventually come out into open country. That woodland and hedgerow over there marks the alternative route that I could have taken earlier. I'll probably go back along some of that later for variety. And I notice ahead of us here is possibly one of North Herts' biofuel recycling centres. So I wonder if the farmers are now collecting the biofuel or dropping it off. I'd imagine the council drop off our refuse there. It's turned into something you can put on the land. I don't know. Anyways, two tractors waiting there, or loading up or dropping off, one or the other. Great Northern Line train to King's Lynn there. Now, judging by the wind and the smell from that place, I think they're unloading. So I wonder if it's sort of like cattle, the liquid from cattle sheds. But there's not that many cattle around here. Don't know. Passing a Cambridge Water Company facility here. Never heard of them. Still following this farm track out in open country. I think that's the church at Litlington coming into view. Not my lunchtime stop. That's going to be Abington Pigotts. Yeah, hedge cutting at this time of year. Totally wrong. Just as the field fares and redwings arrive, farmers are out destroying their larders. Well, a lot of them are. It's absolute madness. Should be done, as I continue to say, just after Christmas, January, February latest, when the berries have all died anyway. Shocking. So there's a pair of cottages here behind this hedge. We do a right, not marked on any finger post, but I'm following the GPX track today. But again, shocking lack of navigational aids. I am or have been following the GPX track since that Cambridge Water Board building, so we're back on it, so to speak. Was about a mile of walking prior, so that's added 2 miles, I should say, to the walk distance. So we're looking at least 11 today. Just as well I started early. See, on this side of the hedge you've got sloes, haws and rose hips, because he hasn't cut this side of the hedge yet. But once he does, they'll all be gone, because they tend to be on the edge that he's cutting. It's absolutely shocking bad management. About 180 foot up here. A little bit less than last week, but pretty extensive views anyway, because of the nature of these fields, large fields, extensive views. Still on a grassy field edge path, and again that nitrogen producing plant is in a former wheat field or cereal field of some description here. Sun's trying to poke out. Solitary lilac flower here. Don't know what it is, if anyone does. Let us know. Hardy thing anyway. Chalky soil. And this is all going on because this corner of the field has been left. Just walking past the copse over there on my left, which is marked on the map as allotments. Does look like it can grow quite high, certainly knee height, whatever that plant is. I guess the allotments have been given over to copse. There's a bench in there as well. Crossing over a track called Ashwell Street, and a rare finger post, or way marker at least anyway. Litlington not far away now. Getting a bit closer to Litlington Church, but I think this is as close as we get. My track leads into the village this way, so according to that 2 3/4 mile to Ashwell station, but I've just logged 3 mile on my GPS. Village of Litlington. The village sign on the village green appropriately. self-explanatory. 21 years old. Looks like another victim. Pub's up for sale. Not doing any business at the moment either. Such a shame, eh? So the walk author, who has created the track to bypass the pub, needs to know about this. Village shop is opposite, come post office. That's still trading. Probably thankfully to the buy-to-lets at the rear of it, I reckon. As with last week, plenty of thatch knocking around this area. Interesting feature here, which we'll go and examine in a minute. Yeah, it's actually a little jail. Last used as such in 1840. Google this if you need to know more and can't read this. So I could have come up from the village green where I was earlier, up this bit of lane, bypassed the pub and post office and got to where I need to be here. And this is called Maltin Lane, which tells us something about the history. And then for some reason we take this left next to these modern houses to go back onto the road I was on a moment ago, which does run by the post office. So a bit of a circuitous route. Past the village hall, going through this estate. So don't take the obvious left here, across that field, but follow this concrete track towards the sewage works on the map. Exactly 4 miles into the walk here. Passing the sewage works and a mobile phone mast, which I didn't know until recently can be stuck anywhere the phone companies like, pretty much via compulsory purchase. And they're very difficult to get rid of if you happen to be the landowner and want to develop the land, because obviously some people don't like living near these masts. I certainly wouldn't fancy the radiation from it. Crossing over Chardle Ditch on the map. As you can hear, the wind's picking up again now. Getting a bit nearer to those 30 mile an hour speeds that we were forecast. Farmer is ploughing this field as I arrive, so the GPX track is not possible, which goes diagonally across this field, because he hasn't reinstated the path and probably hasn't any intention of doing so, because I notice he's left a section around the edge, which I want. Yeah, so you would go diagonally back to that haystack, arriving at this footbridge, and that brings you to another field that's recently been sown and the path hasn't been reinstated. And having crossed the field, mark a post down there next to a nice thatch on the right and a bit of sunshine actually. Most welcome. Passing the Pagan Abbot, which is still open. Not walker friendly though, like a lot of places around this area. There's the opening hours. You put some overshoes on your boots, you should be alright. I always carry a pair in my bag, even though I don't rarely use the pubs. Now there is a church in this village that I was planning on taking my lunch at, but it's about half a mile from the village pub, so there's another mile on top of the extra I've already done, and it's already 1 o'clock. So I'm pressing on in the hope that I might be able to find a log or something today, because there won't be much else. I haven't passed the village green here yet, and we're now leaving the village. And below me, as if by magic, a fallen tree appears on my right just as I leave the village. So as I say, about 1:15, around about 6.5 more miles still to do, so quick respite here. And this little tree belt is a place called Bible's Grove on the map. There's a section here, Mill Hill, on the map that I'm going to bypass because it goes towards Guilden Morden, and that is duplication of a walk that I did on the Guilden Morden walk. So I'm going to continue straight on here, which is different. Also the wind's picking up, and it's quite tricky to get a respite from it to record. That's the spire of the church in Guilden Morden, which you can see in full on the Guilden Morden Circular. So as I say, that section of the walk from Guilden Morden to a point where I'm going to catch up with the Steeple Morden GPX track is duplication. So I'm passing Browse Wood here on my left, as we do get a respite or break in the wind, and I'm approaching Boggs Gap ahead of me there, which must be those cottages. Well, that's interesting. This is cereal country, no sheep. And where's the gate? Must be a very old sign. Again, the church at Guilden Morden. I'm now stood on the main road in Steeple Morden, where I'm going to turn left. This modern house was formerly a pub. As you can see, 2 new houses here in what used to be the pub and its car park, probably. Country pubs are falling by the wayside at a rapid rate of knots, making these country walks for those that frequent the pubs quite a disaster. First church of the day. Let's see if it's open. Very pleasant. Remembrance Day tomorrow. Lest we forget. Wagon and horses opposite. St Peter and St Paul. This is dedicated to. Decent sized place. Nice stained glass window. Another week, another organ. And the view back. And in keeping with many churches now, a microwave and hot water around there for travellers. A mini food bank here, in keeping with Christian values. The church quite dominates this area because it's all open space. Not behind a wall or anything. And the primary school is just behind the church, as you'd likely guess. Village sign. Note the connections with the RAF. First time I've seen a post office in a garage. And just beyond that garage is a footpath between houses, which is the start of the GPX track, i.e. this walk. So I'm on the return leg now, back on track so to speak. Okay, there's a fiddly section here around the back of houses. You eventually come out by a tennis court. And I do believe the onward journey is up past this gate, following the footpath marker there. Back out into big field country, and of course the breeze. Steeple behind us. Take a left here into woodland for some respite from the wind, and it looks like we're walking across the back of someone's garden here. Very nice as well. That's a new one on me. That'll be the owners of the property not wanting walkers passing their home. Probably been rejected planning permission to have it officially moved. Anyway, it's up here to the right, past the horse paddocks. Very nervous horses these. This one's particularly strange looking. Quite nimble. Maybe it's a rescue horse. No marker post, but next to this asbestos barn the path is clear on the right. Having walked around Gatley End there, we're now headed for Upper Gatley End. A very run down cottage here at the Upper Gatley End, made from asbestos and waffle, daub. It's probably why no one can live in it, because of the asbestos. Not much of it left actually. One way of blocking an entrance. And that old telegraph pole is another. And that lane I've just come from, in front of Gatley End Farm, is once again Ashwell Street that I passed over earlier. There's the old Thameslink service in the distance, next to the A505, and Royston Heath, where I've walked before, in the background. I'm stood about 200 foot up here, so one of the high points of the day. Decent enough view, quite clear today because of the wind. So there you go, you have been warned. This is Morden Grange Plantation on my right. There is actually another chalk pit the other side of this tree line, per the map at least anyway. Lots of chalk workings around here. Okay, the GPX track does a left here, skirting round Morden Grange Wood, but it would appear there is now a footpath through the wood which should get me to where I need to be. Interesting, what's that car doing in there? Yeah, so that makes for a nice little 5-10 minutes respite from the wind. See, originally it would have skirted the edge of the wood. Wonder if any owls are in it. Often other birds are taking these over now. Okay, the GPX track goes on straight ahead here at this gap in the woodland. But I'm going to take a right through the gap and then do a left. That will take me back to the alternate track that I didn't take this morning, as would the GPS track where I'm stood at the moment. But this cuts a section off as nightfall approaches. One final view across the plain. Doesn't take a lot of height to get a good view around here. Like I say, we're only about 200 foot up. Just what the doctor ordered on a cold day. So had I followed the GPX track, I would have gone down the other side of this plantation and walked along the base of it here where this fire's burning. But having come down this side, I've cut a bit out, a couple of 100 yards, and I'm now back on the GPX track here on the other side of Station Quarry to where I walked this morning. As you can see here, on this hedge, not a berry left on it. It's absolutely scandalous. Why do they cut them at this time of year? Shocking. It's no wonder the bird population's dropping. With all the other pressures that they have anyway, farmers cutting the berries at this time of the year is just ludicrous. And here you get a good view of the quarry. See how far down the chalk goes. And I was walking along that hedge on the far side there this morning, so just for variety I've come back a different way. Unbelievable. Station Quarry this is. I guess one day this will be filled in with water and become a reservoir. Not a reservoir, but just a lake. What we could do with the reservoir aspect of it for our water supply, I suppose. But now it'll probably just become infilled water for leisure. So here we are back at the barrier that I mentioned on the outward part of the journey earlier. So it's 4 o'clock, 11.25 miles and 4 hours 6 minutes later, and decent walk out. Mainly filled edges, big open skies, big fields, different scenery to last week for sure, but you know, it just adds to the variety of our countryside really. Not much to report on the bird front, just one of those quiet days really. Anyway, didn't rain, that's the main thing. Pretty breezy, which I apologise for once again if it comes out on commentary, which almost certainly it will. As I said last week, I will have to upgrade this camera because I am aware of a better version of this on the Panasonic site now, so I'll investigate that. But yeah, that's North Herts Ramblers group walk 364, Steeple Morden Circular, partly completed because I missed out the Guilden Morden section. Had I included that, I might still be walking, and probably in the dark. The sunset's about 25 past 4 now. So until next time, take care.